guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
Miss Kennedy, would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
What is
Shaken, not stirred.
Hold on. I'm not hearing it right. Hold on. We got it now.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello, everyone. I apologize for the delay. I was recording with my two buddies, Bone Bridger and John Automates, for his channel. If you haven't checked out John's channel yet, I highly recommend you do. He does a series called Brand versus Demand, and it's really focused on not only marketing, but what studios are doing versus what the general public want. So it's a really great discussion over there that we do every week. So that's why I'm late. And I wanted to tell everyone, I know I had said I've had some technical difficulties with my camera. After tons of troubleshooting and tons of time with tech support, I realized what the problem was. And it was that my cat chewed through the cable, and that was causing the issue. So I am still on my laptop today, but my regular camera will be back up and running next week once I get that cable in the mail. So I don't know if anyone has pets or cats or dogs and they chew through your electronics, but I'm sure that if you do, you know what the struggle is like. So I'm going to start off going through the chat a little bit. I have a really special guest today. Elliot is a movie reviewer, and his channel is Movie Files. He is a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic, verified. Yeah, I think it's verified and certified. It's certified fresh. Well, I think that he's certified fresh. So he's fantastic. He has a really wonderful channel, really great movie reviews. He's even on a weekly TV show, giving his reviews of what you should be excited to see, as well as things that he's enjoyed. So I really highly recommend checking him out, and he will be on at 5. So we're gonna get into the chat a little bit, and then we'll discuss a couple of things. Let's see. The View with Drew. Hey everyone, what's up? Hi Drew, thanks for stopping by. What's your free for X-Men movie? Oh, favorite X-Men movie out of all the franchises. About the franchise. I would say oh, that's tough. I mean, the most recent one I really liked was the first one in the reboot. I feel like it's a reboot because it's when they had everyone playing the younger versions of themselves with Jennifer Lawrence and Michael Fassbender. I really liked the first one in that, and I think I was okay with the second one, but I don't remember if I ever saw the third. But I also like the originals as well. Hello, Eraserhead. Hey, Aqualung. Yes, I'm a big Anchorman fan. The entire reason why I say thanks for stopping by and then end every video with stay classy is because of Anchorman. So I love that movie, and it's hilarious and really well done. Good news, I'm following you on Instagram. Oh, good. Thank you. I will probably follow you back, Drew. Thanks so much. I might already be following you. That's what I'm saying, probably, because I feel like I already am, but maybe I'm not. I'm like medium height, I'd say. Hi, Mika. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Actually, Mika, I'd love to know if you saw over the weekend, or you plan on seeing No One Will Save You. I know I always like to hear your opinion on horror films, so I'd love to know what your thoughts were. My cat's fine. He just kind of chewed through it because they like to play with cords and cables. I've gone through so many laptop chargers, and there was an era, my other cat that passed away would always just try to destroy it. So I was always at the Apple store trying to get new cables. We have 2 new kittens, and the struggle is real about those cable wires. I know. They're little predators, and they're trying to attack it and play with it, and yeah, it's what can you do? My old dog chewed my brother's Game Boy Advance, so he knows the pain. Yes. It is there's gotta be, like, insurance for these things for pets when they destroy your electronics. I am friends with KB. Yes, KB is great. Let's see here. And I can't wait for October. I'm pretty excited for October, actually. Halloween's coming up. It's spooky season. Started spooky season by going to Sleepy Hollow in upstate New York. I don't think it's like really considered upstate New York though, because it's not that far. It was like a 40-minute train ride. But it was really cool, and you got to see where Washington Irvington, the writer of Sleepy Hollow, lived, and the Sleepy Hollow graveyard site with the Headless Horseman Bridge, and that was really fun. They do a lot more Halloween stuff in October there, but just being around, they were all getting ready for Halloween stuff, so that was pretty cool. Dimension Scott, how are you doing? Thanks so much for stopping by. I've been checking out Movie Files content. Really great channel. Yeah, he's really nice. So I'm really thankful that he decided to come on. I think we're gonna have a really fun conversation. We just watched No One Will Save You. Kira and I are going to do a review on it. Really loved it. Just watched your review on the film as well. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm so all in about alien movies moving forward. I think it's been a bit since we've had some, like I enjoyed Nope and things like that, but I'm just bring on the alien movies. It's the era in everyone's obsessed with space, and sci-fi really fits that culturally right now. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to cats. I had one once, but was short-lived. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I know that when I didn't have a cat for a long time, and even though I grew up with cats, when I finally got one, I was allergic for about like a month, and then my body kind of adjusted to it. But I know that's not for everyone. But that's luckily what happened to me. Hello, Luke. What's going on? Hope you're doing great today. I am doing pretty well, actually. Thank you very much, Luke. Let's see here. We just finished our watch list for 31 Days of Halloween. Can't wait for October. Yes. Ooh, I can't wait to see that. You guys always put great recommendations and great lists out. I'm really curious to see what you have on your list for this October. That sounds great. And cheers to everyone. It's happy hour. So I hope if you are having a libation, or you're having coffee or tea or water, whatever you're having, cheers to everyone. I'm finally getting back to the movie theater very soon. It's been a little bit of a hiatus. I have been watching a lot though at home. So I think the next thing I'm going to see is definitely going to be The Creator, and actually Movie Files saw The Creator and he did a review on it. He definitely gets all those perks of being a critic full time, and he saw the film and put a review up on his channel. I'm definitely going to ask him a few questions about The Creator because it just looks incredible to me. And that's like right up my alley. So I feel like The Creator is definitely something I'll be seeing soon. I must see Dumb Money because I already saw Dumb Money in February. And it was like a secret screening, and you had to fill out information about it. And the movie wasn't even finished, and there was a lot of green screen and no score. I'm sure I've brought this up here on the channel multiple times. So I'd love to see it now that it's finished and see what they changed, because it's so unfair to judge a movie in the state it was in when I saw it. I really liked where it was heading though when I saw it, and I think the story itself is really interesting. I love films about the little guy taking down Wall Street. I think that's always a fun idea, especially when it's a true story. And that was just I was following that a lot during the pandemic. That was a huge story. So I'm really excited to see the finished product. Again, it was yeah, you wouldn't be able to judge it, but I liked what I saw, and I knew that they were on their way to something cool. So I'm looking forward to that. You, John, and Bumberger should continue. Well, we actually have. We do one every Thursday. They're on at 11:30. I hop on around 12:30, and then I had them on 2 weeks ago. We did a live stream, and they are often on my channel as well. I want to have them on again, the both of them, when it gets a little bit closer to Oscar season, but like maybe in November, like once a few of the films that we're all looking forward to seeing are out. And but yes, we do collaborate often, Hoop and Hands, and they were on I believe 2 weeks ago. Hey all, have you seen the comments by Scorsese on comic book movies? What are your thoughts on that? I kind of agree with him. I would hate for the movie going experience to only be about franchises. I 100% agree with Scorsese, and I think that what he's saying is not disrespectful at all. I think it's a different, like, you go to see a superhero movie at the theater for a completely different reason that you go to see a drama or a comedy or a sci-fi or indie film. I don't think he's said it in the past. It's like going to an amusement park, and that's what you're there for, and that's totally fine. You are kind of shutting your brain off, and you're enjoying the experience, and you want to be taken on this crazy ride. So I really agree with Scorsese. And there's a time and a place for different experiences, absolutely, at the movie theater. And I will say, if you are the type of person that only sees superhero movies at the theater and blockbusters at the theater, try seeing something that you normally would wait to see at home in the theater, because it's a really interesting experience. I'm the type of person that doesn't run to see a comedy in the theater. When I saw Strays in the theater, it was like it elevated the experience so much. Everyone was laughing. People were losing their minds, and I had forgotten what it was like to see a comedy in the theater instead of just on my couch at home. So I think it's a really interesting thing, and I agree that you know comic book movies have a place, and it's not about the actor. When you see a movie that's a non-superhero movie, it is so actor focused, and you're there to see the acting. When it is a superhero movie, you're there to see the Hulk, or there to see Iron Man, or you're there to see Doctor Strange. They're it's more about those characters and those comic book characters than who's portraying them at that point. Yeah, so I agree. I don't think that Scorsese said anything bad. I'm looking forward to the creator and Saw X. Saw 10. Are we referring to Saw X or Saw 10? Because I know that's like the Roman numeral, obviously, but I don't know what people are referring to it as. For now, I'll say Saw X. I actually need to get caught up on a lot of the Saws. I would love to know. Actually, I'll wait till you see it, Mika. You tell me if I should wait to see, like, to catch up on the Saw films before I see this, or if I can just go see it in the theater, because I'd like to see it in the theater sooner than later. So, but yeah, you can let me know when you see that, and I'll wait. I'll be waiting your thoughts and comments on that. I don't think the family could not handle that responsibility anymore. I kind of miss that dog, no matter how many years ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, about the dog that. Yeah, I apologize. It's tough. It's tough when pets don't always work out in your lifestyle in your family. Favorite cult classic horror movie. I have this. I love the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I used to work at a place where I got to choose films to play on a projector, and they were on silent because there was actually just music going on, and I just like loved seeing their faces on screen all the time. It brought me such joy. But I feel like a lot of films you could qualify as a cult classic. Now that maybe I wouldn't have considered a cult classic before. But yeah, I like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's just so ridiculous to me, and I find that fun. Speaking of classics, not cult classics, there's a film, and I'm gonna bring this up on IMDb so everyone can learn about this movie, because if you love movies just as much as I do, you will love seeing this film. I got it on our Netflix DVD list, and I believe I opened that up in front of everyone last week. And it is Cinema Paradiso. And this film is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to share this really quick so you guys can see it. Here we are. Okay. So if you love films, this is literally like the biggest love letter to movies. It's an Italian film from 1988. The whole premise is it's this kid, this little boy. He must be like 6 or 7, probably like 7 years old. and he falls in love with the whole concept of working a film projector because he befriends the man that has that job, and he just obsessively wants to go all the time, and it's like through that boy's journey as time goes on, and the town, and how much that theater affects everyone that lives in that town. I highly recommend this movie. It won so many awards. It won at Cannes. It won almost every festival it was in. So I highly recommend it, and you won't be disappointed at all. It's really just magnificent. I'll make the poster a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. But yeah, this movie right here, I highly recommend it. Oh, speaking of The Exorcist, is anyone going to see that? That's coming out in next week, I guess. Maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks. But yeah, either way, I don't think I'm still sharing my screen now, right? No, okay. I sometimes I want to make sure that if I'm sharing my screen and I close it out, that I'm not still sharing my screen at that point in time. Let's see here. We'll go back to the chat. But yeah, I really recommend Cinema Paradiso. And I think a lot of people that are into movies love films that are love letters to film and cinema. So okay. I have heard about this. I was talking about this earlier today. Have you heard the Halloween rights are being shopped to continue the franchise? That makes sense, and I believe Miramax owns that, which I thought was owned by Disney. Because I remember that Disney bought Miramax from the Weinsteins a long time ago, and then that's when the Weinsteins created the Weinstein Company. So I'm not positive if Disney still owns Miramax at this point, but I'm pretty sure that they do. And if that's the case, then I can understand why they're trying to sell it, because Disney's in a lot of trouble financially. So, and like if they're going to always continue that franchise, they might as well give to someone else. I think at this point. Not sure how I feel about it. All creative licenses, and see what else can be done with the franchises. However, the other side of me feels that we should be done. I know. I'm fine with it being done. I've heard how horrible the last movie was, and I don't. I'm sure, especially because the last one is Jamie Lee Curtis's last time appearing. Unless they're going to do a complete reboot, which is probably what they're planning on doing. I don't know. At the end of the day, all these studios care about is money, and they know that that name sells. So, but so I can kind of see both sides of the coin. I'm planning on seeing a 12:30 showing of Barbie tomorrow. Oh, well, congratulations. I hope you enjoy yourself. Um, I always like when people are excited to see films in the theaters. So yeah, I hope you have a great time. Saw X picks up right after the first film, so you can see if I have seen the first one. Okay. So that makes me feel like I wouldn't be missing out on anything then. So that makes me more inclined to see it. Maybe I'll do a rewatch of the first one. That might be a good way to prep myself, because I haven't seen it since college, I believe, which is a very long time ago. So yes, Mika, I think you're going to really, really love it. It's honestly just a precious film. So I highly, highly recommend it. That's actually on my list, and I know a lot of people would get mad at me for saying that I haven't seen it, but I apologize, Emmett, but I have not. Exorcist is more or less banned in my parents' house. Mom saw it decades ago, and she hasn't forgotten it. If I am to see it, it'd have to be in secret. I mean, the first one had such a huge impact. I mean, people like were passing out in the theaters. People got sick. People had to leave. This one I definitely will probably see, but it doesn't look like a fun time. I'll tell you that. Like, there's certain horror movies that are definitely you go in to have a fun time, even when they get a little crazy. Like Talk to Me was at times very intense and not. I'd say less than pleasant. Is an under exaggeration there, understatement, but every time I see The Exorcist, I'm blanking out what it's called, the new one, its trailer, it does not look like a fun time at all. So, but I definitely want to see it, because the first one was a fantastic film, and I wouldn't consider that one to be a fun time either. So, um, Blumhouse would be a good fit for Halloween. Yeah, and actually, is anyone going to be seeing Five Nights at Freddy's? Because I definitely am interested in seeing that. We only have 5 more minutes, so I'm going to just I want to do like a little. I would say a little bit of a poll. Um, oh, here we are. While we're on the subject, we are planning on seeing The Exorcist. Thank you, Believer. Not sure about it. The Exorcist is still one film that still scares me. Only thing bringing us back is Ellen Burstyn. Yeah, and I feel like if she didn't believe in this project, she would have nothing to do with it. That is also the selling point for me as well, Mika. She's a smart woman, and I feel like if she saw a script that was bad, she would be like, no, like there's no way I'm going to be a part of this. So yeah, I'm quite excited to see that. Um, yeah. So, is anyone? What are you guys like really pumped to see coming out? I know we have a few more weeks till some of the heavy hitters. I'm really excited for Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm actually going to be getting my tickets this week. I don't know if you guys have. Or are planning on doing that in advance. But yeah, as I said, the creator, I'm definitely going to be seeing this week as well. And I again, Dumb Money. So if you guys are like really pumped about a few films that are coming out, I'd love to hear about that. Um, in the meantime, and I guess I would go see the horror movie Five Nights at Yeah, I mean, to me, it looks like they're doing kind of a. I know it's based off of an already existing film, or game, video game, but I do really think that they are incorporating the whole backrooms concept that has kind of taken YouTube by storm. And I'm not saying for adults. I know that the backrooms are kind of targeted towards teens and to make it seem like they're real. But I've seen some of them and they are really scary. I really hate them, but I'm also kind of like fascinated that they were pulled off by someone. And the way they filmed them, because it's horrifying. And there's one in particular that deals with a children's kind of like amusement park type of thing, or like one of those like Discovery Zone like arcade games, like a Chuck E. Cheese. There is one that kind of looks like it used to be one, and all these kids got taken by this bear, and then you see the bear in the corner, and then it starts. It's so creepy, and I feel like when I saw the trailer for it, totally reminded me of it, like 100%. So that's, I think if they go with it a little bit more of that modern angle of what has been being done on YouTube, I think that could be a really nice combination, and bring something fresh to the concept. Hey Tracy, hope you're doing well. Expendables 4 sounds bad. I wonder what will be the biggest bomb of the year. My money is on the Marvels. I have a feeling that the Marvels is going to do a lot better than people think, but I don't think it's going to be an amazing box office. I will say Nia DaCosta's comment. I had a feeling this was going to happen. Her saying it's Kevin Feige's film. That just goes to show that she does not want people to watch this film and have it poorly reflect her as a director. She seems like someone that definitely has very strong creative visions, and I have a feeling the studio did not let her probably incorporate those. So we'll see. But yeah, you can tell she's trying to disassociate with this film as much as possible, which is difficult when you are the director of the film. But in these big, machine movies that come out, it's very easy for the studios to kind of take control and not let a director do exactly what they envisioned for these pieces. They get in the way a lot. And Expendables 4 looks ridiculous. I have no desire to see Expendables 4. I think the tagline, which was they'll die when they're dead, was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. If you look at any poster, that was the tagline for that movie, and it's quite hilarious. Um, so uh Killers of the Flower Moon is one we were really excited for. Yeah, I'm so excited for that one. I'm still working on which this is Killers of the Flower Moon is not playing at the New York Film Festival as far as I can see, but now I'm finding out how to kind of get tickets for some. And the ones that are playing are The Holdovers, Alexander Payne's new film, Maestro, Bradley Cooper's newest film, and there's two more that I really want to try to get tickets for. I'm only going to do one because it's too much of a thing. May December by Todd Haynes, Poor Things by Yorgos Lanthimos, and they're all doing like these Q&As. I think some of them are kind of remote, but they are live. So I'm going to try to be make it happen for at least one of them because it should be a really cool experience. So actually, I believe since it's close to our guest, I'm going to play the little intro video and introduce a guest I'm super excited for. I said this earlier. Everyone should really check out his channel, and we'll talk a little bit more once he comes on about everything that he does. He's a very busy person, and he puts out such great content, and I'm just thrilled to have him here. So thanks for everyone. We're gonna get the intro video going, and then we'll be welcoming movie files.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello, welcome.
Very cool. Mean Girls, Anchorman, can't go wrong with that. What's going on?
Oh, doing quite well. We're really excited to have you here. I've been telling everyone a little bit about you. I know the most recent big thing that happened, I'm sure there's other things that have happened, but you did become a verified Rotten Tomatoes critic, and that's really fantastic. I don't know if you want to do a little introduction for yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you and your channel.
Yeah, for sure. Well, can you hear me? Am I coming in okay? Can you hear me
You
good?
sound
Everything
great to
good?
me.
Cool. Well, thank you first and foremost for having me on. Super excited to talk movies and see what films come up in the conversation. But yeah, my name is Elliot from Movie Files. As Nerdy Film Girl just alluded to, I am a film critic as of 6 months ago, but I've also been covering film and TV on my YouTube channel for, I believe this is the 6th or 7th year. So I've been doing it for a little bit now, and I pride myself on covering the gamma of entertainment, whether it's big blockbuster Star Wars, Marvel, DC films, but also appreciating the independent films, whether it's an A24, Neon, Bleacher Street type of feature film, as well as a variety of TV shows. So we have a lot of good times. There's the movie reviews, there's TV reviews, I haven't had a live stream in a while, but we're going to bring those back with season 2 of Low-Key. But I pride myself on having a lot of good fun, some fun and interesting takes on these films and TV shows that we love, and been having a good time doing so for the last, like I said, 6 or 7 years, which is bananas.
It's really incredible. And I got to say, I started watching your channel, I'd say maybe a few months before Beau is Afraid came out. And then you also,
That was a good one.
we were both on the same page with this because I did a live stream about Beau is Afraid with a panel on my channel, and you did as well. And I didn't know anyone else that had done that. And it was just so great because I gravitate towards YouTubers that do discuss the whole every type of genre, and not just the big Marvel.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, how much can we complain about things we don't like? So it's really
Right.
great to see conversations like that. And you also have a TV segment that you do once a month, I believe.
Yeah, out here. So I'm out in Missouri, and past November, December of last year, I got a invitation to be on the local news to kind of talk, like a little 4 or 5 minute segment talking about the new movies that are going to be in theaters that week. So I've been doing that for the past 9 months, and that's just been a cool opportunity because, again, just thinking back to when I started my YouTube channel, never thought in a million years that I would, accumulate over 100 subscribers, let alone 7 years later being on TV talking about film. So it's a pretty cool opportunity.
Oh, that's so exciting. I did tell everyone that you did see, well, there's a couple things that you saw recently that I'd like to talk
Mhm.
about, but
Yeah.
without spoilers, obviously, because I know we
Mhm.
both wouldn't do that. But you got to see the creator early. That is
Oh,
one
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
my most anticipated films, and it's one of I think everyone's anticipated films.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about your experience watching the creator?
Yeah, no, for sure. I got a chance to see it last week. And as I kind of talked about in my review that I released today and my out of theater reaction, Dune Part 2 was like the cream of the crop for me. Like, I'm a big sci-fi fan, so that was my most anticipated film this year. Obviously, we know they got delayed, so I'm like, man, what's going to fill that void? So one is going to be later this year with Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, but then the other was Gareth Edwards' creator, which I'm just a fan of his work, Monsters, Godzilla, Rogue One, and I just think he's such a grounded, but yet has these imaginative worlds that he builds in such a perfect way. And not getting too much into the creator, but that's one of the things that I took away from this film is just like, being that I'm a big fan of science fiction, I love how science fiction talks to like the zeitgeist, so has a pulse on what society's going through whenever that film is made. And also a great sci-fi film, which I think the creator is, it has that long lasting conversation 20, 30 years from now involving AI and how humans use AI. So there's a lot of kind of dichotomy around that, and the psychology around, you know, what the future looks like when AI fights back against humans and vice versa. But man, you talk about just a spectacle as far as the cinematography. I'm a big Hans Zimmer fan, so the score is impeccable, really great performances. But again, what I really was just of awe with was the scope and scale of this film, and an $80 million budget or $85 million budget. What they were able to accomplish with that is just mind-boggling to me. And seeing it in IMAX was just the cherry on top. So again, for any sci-fi fans out there, you might see some familiarity with some of the story beats. You know, there's a Kira in there, there's a little bit of Avatar in there. I think every genre has like a template that they like to follow as far as story beats go. And it's just a matter of not copy and pasting that, but showing homage and appreciation, but also adding in your own flavor. And I think, you know, Gareth did that. And I was just a big fan of the film, if you can't tell. It's not perfect by any means. You can see my full review of some of the things that didn't work for me. I felt like the science fiction elements outweighed some of the shortcomings from the narrative. But overall, I can't recommend it enough.
Well, yeah, I think this is a really good friend of the channel. Mika and her sister have a podcast. They're twins, and so she said you're absolutely selling the creator for sure. She's a big sci-fi fan, and she's also really well versed in horror. And I'm going to be getting her on it in October. But yeah, no, I think what you said is great, and I love that you mentioned what they were capable of on that budget, because it blows my mind with the big studios. Obviously, their budgets are just outrageous for and not producing the best quality. When we saw Talk to Me this year, which was I think a $4 million budget, which is insane. And then No One Will Save You, I believe that was around 25 million.
Right.
So it's incredible what these other studios are doing, and it shows you that it can be done if we get back to basics.
It's so, and you just mentioned, so sci-fi, and then my other favorite genre is horror. And I love how some of these you've noted, and I mean, it's been going around for forever, but I love when you see like someone that comes from kind of those horror elements, like Gareth Edwards' Monster isn't like a flat out horror film, but it's a monster kind of creature feature film. And I always feel like whether it's Gareth Edwards or James Wan or even Jordan Peele to an extent, when they have like those, and Sam Raimi's another example, directors that have to stretch that budget and really make the most out of what they have, whether it's practical effects or whatever the case may be. And I feel like whenever they get the opportunity to play in that big ballpark, whether it's Godzilla or Rogue One, they're able to just like take that groundedness that they were able to kind of build their bones on and bring that into a big blockbuster. So I'm hoping that we see that shift in Hollywood, where a lot of these kind of independent directors get the opportunity to show what they're capable of on a bigger scale. And I think Gareth Edwards did a great job in doing so.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it right there. And I think that the strike in general hopefully gave these studios a little bit of time to breathe and kind of reassess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because every time I hear that a Marvel film is pushed back, I kind of think like, well, good, because maybe they are reassessing what their strategy is moving forward.
Exactly.
So I have to ask, I know you are covering Fantastic Fest
Yes.
currently. Can you explain a little bit for people in the chat what that is?
Yeah, so I am, again, a common theme is this sci-fi and horror are my jams. I love it, which is a perfect segue into covering Fantastic Fest this year, which has been around for 20, 25 years, if not longer. They are a festival that covers a lot of genres of film, but more of the independent realm, science fiction, horror, comedy, action, you name it, they have it. But again, the focus is on independent filmmaking. But at the same time, they do have, like this year, I'm not presently in Austin. I'm covering remotely, but I know those that are attending it. There's 4 special screenings. And I believe the first 2 was Sunbird or Saltburn, and then the other one was they're playing the creator tonight, I believe. And what was the other? It was another surprise screening that they had. But nonetheless, it's a awesome film festival. Fingers crossed I can actually go in person next year. But again, if you're a fan of science fiction, horror, comedy, action, and you love to see new, independent, up-and-coming directors showing you what they're capable of in the weirdest, craziest, outrageous way possible, then Fantastic Fest is the festival to attend and to cover and to experience all the great stuff they have to offer. And I'm very happy. This is my first year covering it. I've been pretty impressed by the films I've seen so far.
Now, I may have misunderstood, but did you see Saltburn?
I did not. So those were, it was that one, it was Creator, and it was one more that they announced. It was just like on Saturday, another big film. That's going to kill me. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, there was 4 special screenings, and Saltburn was one of them.
I'm very looking forward to seeing that. I know it's been a little bit mixed, but I really liked Emerald Fennell's Promising Young Woman, and I think that that was a great, fantastic directorial debut. And the trailer for it looks so interesting to me. It seems right up my alley. So, but looking forward to that.
100%, yeah. And I love the cast, Barry Keoghan and Jacob Elordi. So it's a pretty stacked cast too.
Yes. I guess speaking of anticipated movies and the Oscar season, kind of it's beginning because the festivals have happened. TIFF and I know that the New York Film Festival is happening pretty soon. So any Oscar contenders that you're really excited to see?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I mean, one, I'm a big Martin Scorsese fan. Goodfellas is one of my favorite films of all time. And a lot of his films, but that's like my that and Departed are my 2. But yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon comes to mind. Hearing some good things about some of the performances that come out of the film, as well as the direction by Scorsese himself. So that's definitely on top of the list. I was a huge fan of Bradley Cooper's, directorial debut almost 5-6 years ago. But I'm really excited to see Maestro. David Fincher, always been a favorite director of mine. Really excited to see The Killer with Michael Fassbender. And I know Taika has kind of been, a lot of people are kind of wishing on his downfall, but I'm excited to see him kind of get back to stepping away from the Star Wars world and Marvel and get back to his film. I believe his next goal, also starring Michael Fassbender. So, and I've heard not the best things about that film, but I always like to go in, with an open mind anyway. And I'm just a fan of his work anyway. So those are some that definitely come to mind. And
my cat is named.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say my cat is named after Taika Waititi. So I'm a big Jojo Rabbit fan, and
that's
everything else that he's done. Dark Shadows, or not Dark Shadows. Oh my goodness, We Live in the Shadows. Yeah. And all the Flight of the Conchords stuff. So yeah, but my cat's a rascal just like he is. So
nice.
Yeah. I'm looking. I think this is going to be a really good year. I know that people were really disappointed with a lot of the summer blockbusters, but there's some great stuff coming out and a really exciting award season, I think. I want to go to the chat a little bit. I'm sure they probably have some questions for you, or at least comments on what you've said. Everyone is saying hi to everyone. They're saying smash the like button. Okay, yeah. Agreeing with the Nia DaCosta. We were talking about this earlier, how she brought up the whole Kevin Feige thing with the Marvels. And I feel like she kind of wants to distance herself because I think she's a visionary, and I think that she probably got all of that squashed. So
it's a tough thing, because obviously Marvel's is such a machine. They have a formula that works for them, and I applaud them for trying to bring in Nia DaCosta, Ryan Coogler, Taika Waititi, and some of those kind of more directors that have their own style, and trying to mix it in with the flavor of Marvel. So I'm hopeful that Nia can get her stamp of her sensibilities in the Marvels, a film that I'm looking forward to seeing, and fingers crossed that it's we can see a little bit of Nia in the film.
Yes, that would be very nice. I'm very excited for this movie, Napoleon. That trailer is just
epic.
Yes, I'm really hoping that the film is as good as Joaquin Phoenix's performance, because a part of me feels like if the movie isn't, then he'll probably get I mean, I think he'll probably
recognition
get a Best Actor nomination.
for
I know the
sure.
competition is really tough this year for Best Actor,
Hmm.
so
100%.
that might not actually happen, but that's kind of what I'm getting. But I think
Yeah.
the filmmaking of that looks absolutely fantastic. And I know Ridley Scott has had a couple of disappointing films recently,
Up
but
and down.
it can happen with directors, and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
everything's always a hit. But
Mhm.
I think it looks phenomenal. I'm really excited to see it.
I agree.
Um, I mean, probably see anything that Joaquin Phoenix is in because I just
Same
think
here.
he's uh,
This is one of the best, and if not the best for a lot of
right.
people. So yeah,
Let's see. I'm wounded by the delay of Dune Part 2.
you and me both. You and me both. I wanted to travel in the sand, and I got to postpone that to next year. But March will be here in no time. So, but it
I
hurt my heart.
agree.
Hurt my
It
heart.
That was one of the weirdest choices though, because if it hadn't been a part 2,
Hmm.
I would have been like, "Okay, I get delaying it. They have a lot of stakes riding on this film." But
Right.
it's
Right.
every movie that I'm sure this happened to you, every movie you saw this past summer, I saw that trailer a billion times. People knew it was coming out, and I don't think
Yeah.
that so I feel like it was some weird power play that I'm not even sure really why was made.
Yeah, the I mean, I guess the excuse was obviously, and shout out to the writer strike being over, and next the actors, but apparently their big push was they wanted, of course, if you have a cast with Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Christopher, you want them to, I don't think they have to sell the movie, but you want them on the red carpet, building that hype. So I get it. Obviously they didn't know what, maybe anticipate the strike ending. Not that it's officially in it for the writer or for the actors, but yeah, I can see the vision. But yeah, it's still, it hurts my heart.
It does, and it reminds me of, I mean, everything you're saying. I've heard recently, and I'm really happy to hear this, that Past Lives will be able to do all full press because A24 had agreed to every demand.
Yes,
I love that.
yes.
I don't know if you saw Past Lives, but I absolutely loved it.
It is my number one film of the year so far.
Same.
That film completely destroyed me in and out. I was literally, when I got out of the theater, I just didn't know what to do with myself. It was just like, what's the point of life anymore after I was broken by that film? The best way possible. It's my favorite film of the year. I love it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I'm rooting for that one to get quite a few nominations. That's for
Same
sure.
here.
And A24 is like, we got it. We'll whatever you guys need. We'll be there to support you. And
Exactly.
that's why they're such an incredible studio.
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
do want to see the one that they delayed. And I'm blanking out on the name. It's
Mhm.
with Tilda Swinton, and I believe it was Tilda Swinton, unless it's the Fabulista. It was supposed to come out. They delayed it in respect to everyone else with the
Right,
strike.
right.
Uh,
It's A24 film. I didn't even. This is not even on
Yeah,
my radar.
yeah.
Okay.
And it might not be Tilda Swinton, and I might be confusing it with another film, but I thought it was. But either way, yeah, they kind of did that in like solidarity with everyone else. In postponing a couple of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Sub to Elliot, Tracy. Oh my goodness. Well, I will fix that. Absolutely. My apologies. I apologize. I'll make sure that the
Oh,
link in
no
the description
worries.
is fixed.
No worries.
Yes.
No worries.
Um, No One Will Save You did a great job with their budget. The
Yeah.
sound, the visuals, all were top notch for a streaming
Mhm.
film. It was really well done.
Yeah, I made do we call it tweet anymore? I made a tweet
I
the other
do.
day about just kind of how disappointing it is, considering that last year we had Prey, which I thought was fantastic, and then this year we have this film with Caitlin Deavers that it should have gotten. I know there's like limited theater releases for both of those films, but I think they should have gotten an opportunity to have that full kind of theatrical experience. 'Cause I think both of those films, especially No One Will Save You, would have been. I don't think it would have blown the doors off the box office, but I think it deserved to have been seen by a larger audience on the big screen. But again, you take the good with the bad, knowing that it is on streaming. Some people probably that never even heard of it got a chance to see it at home versus maybe just skipping out on theaters. So yeah, it was a fantastic movie.
Yes. I agree. I'm glad you brought that up because I was kind of questioning how it would have done in the theaters
Yeah.
as well. Um, Caveman movies and more, it works better if studios focus on story and character development rather than a bunch of expensive eye candy. I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
But sometimes studios don't realize that.
That's true. That's true. I mean, and listen, I've been I'm a fan of the big blockbuster films, and you understand that there is a mindset behind these, whether it's screen testings, what people love to see in films. The general audience. Sometimes people do just like to see the bang bam, shoot 'em up action sequences more so than the stories. But it's just what I think what we need to find is that balance, right? Of finding that, having those kind of auteur, thought-provoking, story-driven stories, but at the same time having fun, right? Because I've been growing up as a kid, I used to love the blockbuster. I still love blockbuster stuff, but it's just
Same.
finding that balance. It's just finding that right balance.
And I think the franchise that gets that balance right is the John Wick franchise.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. I'm a big fan, big fan. Which was four your favorite out of the bunch, or do you have another one out of the four that stands out
I
to you?
To me, I felt that 1 and 4 were the most important ones.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
felt 2 and I didn't, not like 2 and 3,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
felt and maybe it was the 3rd one I felt was the most inconsequential. They kind of
yeah.
the 2nd and 3rd kinda blur, together to me a little bit,
Mhm, mhm.
um, but I did really enjoy how they ended it, and I hope that they don't bring him back anymore.
That's the wor that's I mean, I saw an article that, Keanu, like, begged for them to kill him, but, of course, if you saw the film, no spoilers for those that haven't, but they leave the door open for more Wick adventures, so
They
we'll see.
do, but I feel like if they had killed him off in that one, I feel like that would have been a really respectful way to do it, 'cause
100%.
I love that whole dynamic they did at the end,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of people didn't see that coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just checking the,
Speaking of John Wick, have you
yes,
gotten a chance to see, was it The Continental that premiered
I
on
have
Peacock
not,
last week?
what are your thoughts on it? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I don't have Peacock. There hasn't been any programming on that platform that has gotten me excited to add another streaming service to my already 19 million of them that I have. But
Yeah.
I've heard mixed things about the first. Because I guess they're doing three. It's like a mini event, so they're doing a episode for every week. So it's 3 episodes, an hour an episode. So I didn't hear the best things of part one, but maybe one day if they like release it on something else than Peacock, or if there's something I like to see on Peacock and I have the service, and I might watch it. But I wasn't like running to go see what it's about because it was like going to the 70s with Winston. I would prefer just like the high table. Just give me a high table series to really explore. Which I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen the episode. I don't know what the other two have to offer. Maybe they explore the high table in this new show, but I would have liked to just be like a high table centric type of story. But we'll
I
see.
agree with you. I'm not running to it either, which
Yeah,
is kind of crazy because I left the theater of John Wick 4 like so amped in general, and I
yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was just so great. And then when they
yeah,
announced the series, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then
yeah.
kind of interest kind of faded, and the
Yep.
trailer looked okay, but it didn't. I didn't feel like, "Oh my god, I have to watch
Exactly.
this."
Same here. And I am looking for I don't even know when the release date is. The Ballerina with Ana de Armas.
Yes.
I know that's and I believe that takes place between John Wick 3 and 4, or if not
Oh,
continuing whatever that story is from part 4. So, but I'm really looking forward to see what they do with that film. And maybe that's when Baba Yaga comes post-credit scene and leading into John Wick 5. We'll see.
yeah. Yes. No. Well, hopefully not. But I I am excited for the ballerina film too, and that
Yeah.
is interesting that you brought up it might be between, you said 3 and 4?
I think that's what I read because
Okay.
she is the third one when they introduced like his side of the family and they mentioned something about the ballerina's dad dying. So I think it's gonna pick up after that like plot line of 3 into 4 or somewhere between those two films.
Yes. There's a question for you that I'm gonna put up, but before that, I just want to address this because, this is kind of hilarious. I'm just hoping Joaquin Phoenix doesn't come up short in Napoleon. Fun fact, I just learned this recently.
Mhm,
So a lot of people in that era most people were much shorter than they are now, and the
mhm,
average height for a man was like 5'6" or
mhm.
5'5", which I don't consider short, but, like, that
Right,
was
right.
the average, height back then, and women were lucky, I think, if they got to be 5'1".
Oh,
So
wow.
Napoleon was actually not considered that short in that era. It's just comparatively speaking to now, that's why they have Napoleon jokes and the Napoleonic complex. But
Right, right.
he was not really short compared to everyone else back then, so it's kind of funny. But now we have a question for you. As a horror fan, I would love to know some of your favorite 2023 horror films thus far.
Ooh, good question.
And I'm going to put you on
So
solo mode really quick.
Sure. So what comes to mind is Talk to Me, as we talked about earlier. Really love the premise. I thought they execute the idea and the premise so well as had some really good scares. So that's definitely on the list. Big fan of Evil Dead Rise. Love the Mother of Evil. I thought that Alyssa Sutherland did a fantastic job as a Deadite, so I really enjoyed that. Big slasher fan. Grew up in the '90s, so Scream, Wes Craven was my jam, so I really enjoyed. Had a fun time with Scream 6. What else came out that I really enjoyed? Well, I've seen there's a couple horror films that I saw at Fantastic Fest that I'm currently still in there watching movies, but there's a movie coming out by the name of Strange Darling, which is easily shot up to one of my favorite horror films this year. The less you know, the better. So hopefully, when they start promoting that film, you'll see some of what it has to offer. But it's one of my favorite psychological cat and mouse horror movies so far this year. And was there anything else most recently? Like I said, Talk to Me was the most recent one that really kind of just amazed me on every single level. But I guess, what is that, 4 that I just named? So those are the 4 that I can definitely say on top of my list. And I'll have to look on my letterbox to see if there's any other ones that stand out. But hopefully, fingers crossed, your boy's a big Saw fan. Used to love all those movies before they just became terrible. So hopefully Saw 10 can be on that list. And I'm just looking here now. Infinity Pool, I enjoy. Super weird. Brandon Cronenberg, body horror. I'm a big fan of that. Knock at the Cabin, I thought was kind of underrated. It kind of went under the radar for some people, but I really enjoyed it. Beau is Afraid has its highs and lows, but I could definitely put that on a list. So yeah, those and Cobweb. Cobweb's another one that I would add to that list. A really slow burn horror film that just goes off the rails in the best way possible in the last 30 minutes. So,
I
yeah.
heard Cobweb was really good.
It is. It's a slow burn. It takes its time to really flesh out the characters and really build on what you think the film is. And then, like I said, the last, not 30 minutes, but the last like 20 minutes or so just really goes off the rails, but in, like I said, a very wacky, crazy, gory way possible.
That's awesome. I will definitely check that out when it's available to stream it, since I missed out
I
in
believe
theaters.
so. Yeah.
And that's what the movie is called that I was talking about, the A24 film that's delayed,
Gotcha.
Problemista. It kind of has kind of a Michelle Gondry vibe as far as the creativity from the trailer that I saw, the whole kind of playing with imaginary and what's real and what's not, and kind of getting inside the character's head. And it looked really cool. So I'm excited to see when I don't know when they're going to release it, but I know that I think it was supposed to come out in September and they decided to push it back.
We were talking about Past Lives, and I see Greta Lee's in it. So and Tilda Swinton, you were right. Tilda Swinton is in it as well.
Okay. Yes. Oh, yes. I forgot Greta Lee's in that as well. Yes. I think Greta Lee's career is going to just explode after this.
So great. She's so great. I think the first time I ever saw her in something was what was it? Russian Doll. She was in season 1 of Russian Doll, and that was kind of when she was put on the map for me. And I saw her like in the morning show, and I've seen her in other things. Going back and watching her filmography. But yeah, Past Lives. I'm so happy that she's now able to be put on the map, deservingly so, because she's just such an incredible talent.
Absolutely, 100%. This is definitely a pro Past Lives channel. So I'm just going to say hello, Del. Thanks so much for stopping by. Laren as well. I didn't say hi to you, Laren, but I know you guys are all saying hi to each other. Cal L. Daly. Yes. Hello. Thank you. We have a great guest today, and we've been answering some great questions and just having a great conversation. If you guys have any specific questions for Elliot, don't be afraid to put them up there. I love the John Wick franchise, but not really interested in the series. Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of feel that way.
Yeah.
If I think it would be different if it came out and everyone exploded with "It's incredible."
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I feel like HBO shows are. Like a new HBO series premieres, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you have to watch it! It's amazing."
Right. Right.
And actually, for if I know Succession's over, and Elliot's done this for a couple different series, but he used to always do kind of what they used to do on The Walking Dead with the I forget the Talking Dead. He kind of does that on live stream. He did it with Succession and quite a few other HBO series and other series as well. What do you think? Actually, I'd love to get into a conversation about this. I'm not really the most familiar about. Currently, I haven't really looked into it. upcoming HBO series that I should be excited for.
Mhm.
I know it's going to be a really long time, pretty long time till we get another White Lotus. And
Oh, I love
obviously
the White
another House of
Lotus.
the Dragon. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
White Lotus. My
yeah.
goodness. After I think it was like the ending of Succession and White Lotus season 2, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to watch now? So I don't know if there's
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
you're interested in or looking forward to seeing from HBO coming forward.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm right there. HBO to me is the best of the best. Premium content or premium television watching to the highest degree. So yeah, after Succession, and then Barry ended. I'm a big fan of Barry.
Oh, yes, that was the other one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love
Barry.
Barry. Did you see the final season?
Oh, yes.
Yay or nay on the ending?
I actually really liked it,
Me
but
too. Me too.
yeah, I thought it was a really great way to end things. He
I
had I
agree.
mean, what else could they do at
Well,
that point,
exactly,
right?
exactly. He
It's
wasn't gonna get a
Scarface.
happy ending. But yeah, after that, so I'm a big sports fan, but even taking my sports fandom aside, especially being a Lakers fan, and it's unfortunate the show was canceled, but Winning Time, for anyone, if you are a sports fan, I recommend it. But even if you're not, it's a great series, just kind of focusing on a particular era of the Lakers dynasty, the Showtime Lakers. Really enjoyed that. But like I said, unfortunately, the news came out literally minutes after the season 2 finale ended that they're not doing a season 3, which sucks. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that was going to be the big push for HBO this fall season, which unfortunately got delayed due to the strikes, was the new season of True Detective
Mm.
with let's say Clarice, but what's her name? I can't think of her name right now.
Jodie
Jodie
Foster?
Foster. Yeah,
Yes.
Jodie Foster starring in it, and it looks really, really awesome. I love the first season of True Detective. Season 2 was okay. Really enjoyed the season with Mahershala Ali, but this one looks really, really cool. So that was supposed to be like the big fall TV programming for them, but unfortunately, it got delayed. I think they said February, if I'm not mistaken. So right now, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be pretty vacant for a little bit for the rest of the year for HBO because I can't think of anything else big that they have coming out. They have like HBO Max or Max programming that they're going to push out, but nothing like on the big scale of like Sunday prime time watching experiences. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty vacant. So hopefully we have some, Apple TV programming that can step up,
Yes,
some
absolutely.
Netflix stuff that I'm looking forward to later this year. But as far as HBO is concerned, I don't think we are going to have anything big, which sucks because, like you just mentioned, White Lotus, Mayor of Easttown, House of the Dragon, like they just
Yeah.
always come with the hits, especially for fall season. But I don't think we're going to have anything big. But I would love to find something that's been under my radar and it pops out of nowhere. But we'll see.
I'm glad you mentioned Winning Time because I keep hearing how great of a show that was, and it was
It's
kind of like
fantastic.
sports meets Succession. And
Yep.
I don't think I have an issue watching a show that knowing it's over and it was only 2 seasons. Like that's
Mhm.
fine for me if I need to,
Right.
if, especially during this era, I could absolutely do that. One of my favorite HBO shows that I think was canceled way too early was The Newsroom, and this was quite a bit ago. It was with Jeff
Oh,
Daniels.
yes,
And they
yes,
only
yes,
did
yes.
2.5 seasons. So
Mhm,
the
mhm.
3rd season was cut in half. It was so rushed, and honestly, I loved that show. I love the whole concept of, like, you're seeing these huge news stories that
Yep,
happened a few years, um, prior, but it's still current enough for you to remember what like,
right.
the BP oil spill and things like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
So I really loved that show, and I hate when they
Yeah.
cancel things too early.
It sucks, especially in the era where streaming is so predominant. But again, it's a gift and a curse. There's so much programming that sometimes shows get lost, or when you have these long breaks between season to season. Like I know it's a controversial show, but I like Euphoria. Season
I
one
like
more so
Euphoria.
this yeah, season one more than season two. But I just love the style of the show, Levinson's direction, and the acting is phenomenal. And rest in peace to Agnes Cloud. But that's a show that I don't even know if season 3 is in the cards anymore, especially after his passing away most recently and all the stuff,
No.
all the other things, especially with Sam Levinson's show, The Idol, that was canceled. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a given a curse. We have so many options, but sometimes it's just almost too many options that some shows, like you just mentioned, as well as Winning Time, unfortunately, don't get the viewership to sustain such a high prestigious show.
Yes, I agree with that, and I'll be curious to see if Euphoria decides to continue on. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not caught up with season 2, 100%. I need to get back into it, but I
Oh,
really
Euphoria.
thoroughly Yeah, and I
Oh,
thoroughly did
okay,
enjoy
okay.
season 1, and I thought they were
Yeah.
doing something so different, and every episode almost felt like, you were watching a music video the way it was
Like a
directed.
little a mini movie each episode.
Yes.
Season 1 is like, and not to derail into Euphoria talk. Season 1 is like one of my favorite season 1s of TV in like a very long time. Like I was just so, again, I know it's a very controversial, uncomfortable show, but I was just so impressed by the visual style and again, the acting from this is, I think for me, I always liked Zendaya, but I never knew the appeal. Like, very
Yeah.
attractive, seems to be, has a good head on her shoulders, seems to push out a good message to a lot of her younger audience, but I never saw her like stretch her acting abilities. But Euphoria as Rue, I'm like, oh, she has all the talent in the world. So that's what put her on the map for me as like someone that's going to probably be winning an Oscar in the next 5 or 7 years.
I agree, and, speaking of delayed films, I was really looking forward to her in Challengers. It was that sex
Same,
and tennis
yeah. I'm a
movie.
big Luca fan. I'm a huge Luca fan.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to that. Yeah,
Yes, so now I think about it, I keep forgetting this, but both Dune
yeah.
Part
It's
2
the
and
curse, Zendaya's
yeah,
curse.
the Zendaya's Curse, yes. Yeah, that show, Euphoria makes me terrified to have teenagers in the
Oh
future.
my goodness, never ever. If I have kids, when they're teenagers, I'm just gonna, I don't know, send them to boarding. I don't know. Yeah, Euphoria, it makes me terrified of having kids.
Yes.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
I feel like no matter any type of trouble I got in as a teenager, which wasn't a lot, what they do is
Same,
like,
same. Oh
oh
my
my
goodness.
god.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Maybe I actually don't think I know this film, but I'm going to, put this out. The film Maddie Knox with Rob England and Danielle Harris. I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one either. I'll have to look
Okay.
into it.
Let's see. Da, 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 da. Oh, was the movie that you were talking about called Strange Darling?
Yes, yes, yes. Strange Darling, starring Willa Fitzgerald, who's phenomenal in the film. And yeah, like I said, the less you know, the better. But it is called Strange Darling, and it's my favorite film out of the festival so far. And I'm really excited for when they get like distribution and when they have a release date. It's going to be a talked about film for sure.
That's very cool. I should check that one out. You ever see the UK found footage flick The Last Horror Movie? Caught it at Erie Film Fest in '05.
No, I was still
No.
in like high school in '05. So yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even, yeah, no, I haven't
I
seen that one.
yes. I haven't seen that one either. That's my boyfriend, by the way, but he was in high school
Oh, what's
too,
going
so
on?
I guess he went to that film festival and saw it.
Nice, nice.
Not interested in buying another stream service for the Continental. Yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
Um Oh, what are your thoughts on the Jason prequel series coming to Peacock? I didn't even know they were doing one, so
Yeah, so it comes from, and the only thing that piques my interest. So one, I mentioned earlier, I'm a big slasher fan. So Freddy, Jason, Michael's my guy. Chucky, all those iconic slashers are always, whenever there's a new anything, it piques my interest. Jason on TV, and apparently I think it's going to be diving into, the first Friday the 13th with like his mom and kind of dive into, her story, mixing in the little baby Jason, the father. All that stuff I didn't care about. But then when I heard about who was behind it, which is the same gentleman that did the Hannibal series, which was phenomenal. That was like the thing that, again, I'm like, oh, I'm interested because it's, Jason. But then when I heard what it was about, I'm like, oh, that sounds stupid. But then I heard it was behind. I'm like, maybe he can find something unique about it. So yeah, we'll see. That might be one of those series that I might, get like a 7-day trial just to check it out. But we'll see. We'll see.
Dell agrees with you. Winning Time was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Top-notch
guys have
television.
sold me on that one. Absolutely. It's not TV. It's HBO.
There you go. There you go.
100%. Yeah. One show we always rep hard for horror is From. Premiered last year,
Yeah.
it's underrated. People need to watch it.
Mhm.
Have you seen it?
I am behind the 8 Ball double feature podcast. I have had so many of my people on my channel in my comments when I cover shows like The Changeling, for example, or other horror shows I cover, like, dude, you gotta watch From. I'm like, I know, I just gotta catch up on it, but I've heard it is phenomenal. And it's going back to HBO, a show that I was so mad they canceled was Lovecraft Country, and I heard that a lot of people say if you love Lovecraft Country, you're gonna love From. So I'm gonna have to get on that, jump on that ship one of these days.
Yes, I actually I'm always curious. I love getting the recommendations every time I do a live stream because people always are like, "Oh my god, this is amazing and that's fantastic." It helps
Mhm.
weed out the garbage that we don't have to waste our time with. Um,
Exactly.
and I know I keep bringing Mika on. She has so much to contribute today. She's excited for True Detective, delayed till January
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Jodie, yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Jodie Foster in something. I think it might have been,
Can't
she
remember
probably did
last time.
something. I saw the film Carnage, which it's like the Roman Polanski directed film version of the play called Carnage,
Mhm.
and she was fantastic in that. And it had been quite a bit since I had seen her in anything before I saw that. So I'm glad to see her return to the
Yeah.
screen.
She's been directing a lot of stuff too, the last
Yeah.
project, if I'm not mistaken. She has a great eye. So yeah.
Yes. Big ups for Winning Time. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Yeah.
mentioning it. Winning Time is my favorite show so far this year.
There you go.
Let's see. New Fargo season 5 promo is funny with John Hamm. I didn't see that yet, actually. So
I did shortly before I came on this live. I am a big Fargo fan from the movies, and I've enjoyed most of the season. I thought last season was a little rocky with Chris Rock and Jesse Buckley, who I'm a big fan of. So I'm hopeful that this new season, John Hamm, I feel like he was like one of those. He kind of got lost, after Mad Men. I thought that he was like going to be the next like leading man in Hollywood, but he just kind of like pops in supporting roles and still did great things on television. But hopefully this puts John Hamm on the map again. And hopefully we have a fantastic season of Fargo because I love that show.
I've
Noah
only
Hawley is
seen
incredible.
a couple episodes, but it's always been right up my alley, and it's
Mhm.
something I have to get caught up
Oh, it's
on.
fantastic. Season
Yeah,
1 and 2 was like excellent television. Season 3, like I said, was a little clunky. Well, not season 3. Season 4 was a little clunky, but hopefully season 5 knocks it out of the park.
nice.
Oh, here we go.
Are you looking
Yeah.
forward to the new Mike Flanagan series, Fall of the House of Usher? I loved his previous series, and this one is getting excellent early reviews, and we have a few people
Yeah.
mentioning it now. So
Yeah. This is right up my alley. So I'm fortunate enough. I've had the screeners for like a little over 2 weeks now. I just haven't had time to sit down and watch the episodes because they premiered the first 2 episodes at Fantastic. So my plan is I want to just make sure I have a clear schedule because I want to, I obviously watch all the shows that Mike Flanagan does. I want to sit down and watch all the episodes, dissect them, and do like a episode by episode breakdown because, as Reloaded said, I am a huge Mike Flanagan fan. I think The Haunting on Hill House is the best horror show ever, in my opinion, and one of the best like pieces of horror I've seen in a very, very long time. It's like one of the few things that actually got me scared. The Crooked Neck Brook, what was her name? Crooked Neck. Have you ever seen Haunted on Hill House?
no, everyone's told me to.
Oh my goodness. Put this on your list like immediately. Haunted on Hill
Okay,
House is fantastic. It is amazing. Masterpiece of a show. Blind Manor was okay. It's a gothic romantic show with the scares, but not as much as Haunting, but it's still a great, well-written, phenomenally acted show. The Midnight Mass, another masterpiece. As soon as you get done with Haunted on Hill House, put Midnight Mass on top of that list. Fantastic show about, well, I don't want to give too much away, but it takes place on an island, and there's people go missing. I'll just say that. Things go bumping in the night. Fantastic show. Great, phenomenal acting and monologues. And then he had, what was his last one? Midnight Club, my least favorite from the Flanagan verse, but still has all the Flanagan stuff. Great acting, great story. It just wasn't as scary. It was about the kids that were dying, and they had like this club where they would read books and there's ghosts. It wasn't my favorite, but to bring it back home, the Fall of the House of Usher, like I said, I've been sitting on the screens for like a little over a month, and I am excited to probably dive into it, if not this weekend, next weekend, and just in awe of his last, because this is his last Netflix show before he goes and does his deal with Amazon. So
wow.
I am very, very excited for his new show.
Um, I had to bring this up because I loved the first season of Watchmen, and I was
Mhm.
so mad that they did not continue.
I'm kind of torn with it because I love the way it ended, but then at the same time, it was like I would love to see what's her name, Midnight Sister or whatever her name was. I
Yeah.
would love to see what that would have looked like after that ending. So I applaud the riskiness of ending it then and there, because it was always marketed as a limited series, but I would have loved for them to explore what after that last scene. But excellent show, excellent show.
Yes,
Vegeta,
and
oh
it's
my
so
goodness,
so difficult, I feel like, to create something like that
yeah,
that
yeah,
feels so interwoven with the original source material, and it feels
agreed.
like that's what the writer would have always done, or it's like, "Oh, did
Hmm.
I just not read that chapter?" Like, it was so a part of everything so perfectly, and that's
Yeah,
really difficult to do.
I agree.
Um,
Damien Lindelof, he's hit or miss for me. But when he hits that Leftovers, I don't know if you've ever seen Leftovers. Um, he can write some good stuff.
oh, yeah, I that's another one. Actually, The Leftovers was I was working on a screenplay, and one of my friends was like, "Don't watch The Leftovers because there's a lot that's similar to what you're coming up with," and I was like,
Oh
"Okay, well,
wow,
then I won't watch
wow.
it."
So did you end up finishing that screenplay or
I'm still working on it. I decided to
okay,
put it to the wayside because I realized, for a first feature, I should focus on budget, and I think
okay,
that one would have too big of a budget for me to even, like, plot like, possibly sell and direct. So I
that
think
is so
that,
cool.
I'm putting that in the you know, for now.
That is so
Um,
awesome. That is so awesome.
let's see. I'm seeing the creator on Thursday. It looks visually remarkable. Greg Fraser is a, phenomenal cinematographer.
Agreed.
Yeah, you were saying
Agreed.
the cinematography in that is fantastic, so that's really cool.
It's phenomenal.
Um, Rewatched Talk to Me yesterday, and it still holds up. Visually striking and thematically rich. It shows how far the genre can go with very little money.
Well said.
Yes.
Part two.
Um,
Are you nervous for Talk to Me too? Think they can pull it off with a sequel
I mean, the concept works so well. So
Mhm.
I think it could on I mean, I don't think it's needs to become the next Scream, but it
franchise?
has
Yeah.
that type of, potential to me.
Would you
Um,
prefer a sequel of continuing that story or a prequel,
mm,
or maybe a
maybe
mixture of
a
two?
prequel.
Prequel.
Yeah, because we don't really know, like, the first person that found it and all that stuff, but maybe that's giving
Right.
too much
Right.
away. That's the thing. It's like, do I wanna,
Yeah.
like, all the magic tricks, do I want them revealed or,
Yeah. I mean, there is
um
another hand out there, so you can explore that.
That's and it's I watched an interview with them, and they wrote all of the history
Mhm.
tied to that hand and,
Yeah. Yeah.
its origins and all that, so that, like, they went they it was
They
incredibly
really.
detailed.
Yeah. Didn't they
A
shoot?
lot of
Did
stuff.
they shoot like a prequel, like a small short film prequel, touching on
I
the
wouldn't be
guy?
surprised.
Yeah, I thought I read
Yeah.
that they shot it. I just don't know when it's coming out yet. That they did a prequel with the person we met. I can't remember the character's name, but the person we met at the very beginning, like how they got into contact with the hand. So yeah, they planned it out, and I'm really excited to see how it plays off.
No, that's yeah, I would love to, I'm excited to what they do. I think they're just such free-spirited
Hmm.
filmmakers,
Hmm.
so they don't
Yeah.
feel, bound by anything.
Yep.
Talk to Me
Yep.
ends in a way which feels whole and comes full circle, so I don't think a
Hmm.
sequel will be warranted. They filmed a prequel. Um, I mean, I don't mind there being a sequel. I personally don't mind, but I can see why some people would just wanna leave it alone.
Right. Right.
So I have a question for you because I always try throughout the months to see a film that's considered a classic that's been on my
Hmm.
list for a long time, and I've seen quite a few recently, and it's always the films you think like, oh yeah, I need to watch this, and then you kind of sometimes procrastinate watching it, and then when you watch, you're like, "Why didn't I watch this, like, 10 years ago?" They're always so fantastic for a reason, and for some
Yeah.
reason, it's never like you're not jumping to see it sometimes.
Sure.
Are there
Sure.
any films the past year, 6 months, I know you have to stay really current with your job, but
Sure.
is there anything that you finally got to watch that's considered, a classic or something that maybe people in the chat might not be aware of that they would they would enjoy that maybe has been overlooked?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Ooh, that's a good one. I'll probably I don't know why this is coming to mind, but I am such an appreciator of like Japanese and Asian cinema. I think they make some of the most incredible pieces of art, that's out there. And I recently, within the last year or so, I would say I got a chance to finally see Murders of a Memory, or Memories of a Murder. Can't remember the name of it. This Bong Joon-ho, the Parasite director, and all that. So he
Yeah.
did. I think it's called Memories of Murder, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check that. But that was a film that I've heard for the longest time that was just like an excellent film. And yeah, when I saw it, I was just completely in awe. Completely immersed in it. It came out Memories of Murder. It came out 2003, and just is kind of loosely based on a true story, and it is just fantastic. I'm a big fan of murder mysteries, and it's that times a million. Just phenomenal directing, incredible storytelling, great acting, and a shocking reveal. So that's one that I had heard so many great things about it, and I finally got a chance to see it within the last year or so, and could understand the hype.
I'm glad you brought that up because I absolutely loved Parasite, and I've always made it, a thing after that film came out to watch more of his filmography. I
Mhm.
even have, I think he's adorable too. Like I always post in various ways because I think it's hilarious when he won all the Oscars for Parasite. He always has the two Oscars kissing, and I think that's like the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I also just with Parasite being such an incredible film. But I have not yet explored the rest of his filmography. So I'm really
Mhm.
glad you mentioned that. It kind of reminded me to get back on that because I'm sure I won't be disappointed.
Yeah, it is fantastic. Yeah, what else? The Host I thought was fantastic. He did. Snowpiercer was great.
Oh, I did
Was
see that. I did see Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer,
Yes.
yeah, with Chris Evans and Tilda Swinton. That was a great film. What was that one on Netflix? Was it Oka, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh, yes. Oh God,
Um,
Jaw.
oh
Something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's great. And then of course, like you mentioned, Parasite, and come next year, he's going to have another, hopefully another hit on his hands with Mickey 17 with
Mm.
I believe Robert Pattinson is starring in it, and Stephen Yin, and Tony Collette, and I think Mark Ruffalo's in it. So sign me up. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Now that you've said that, that does ring a bell that that's coming out. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds fantastic. I just have to bring this up because yes, we already talked about this through the lens,
Mhm.
Josh. But Past Lives is
Number
absolutely he
one.
loves that. Yes.
Yeah.
um, The Handmaiden and Old Boy are some of the best Asian
Great.
cinema films. Yes,
Mhm.
they re-released Old Boy in theaters, and
I'm
the
so
first
mad. I missed it. I
me
missed it.
too. The first
Yeah.
2 weeks it was sold out. I didn't know I
Mhm.
had to get tickets so early. I couldn't believe that it was sold out. Um, I watched What Lies Beneath this year, 20 years later. What an awesome movie. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Cal, is that the one with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer? It's like a ghost movie. Correct? Let me know if
It
that's the
might
one that
be,
you're referring to.
yeah.
I think that's the
I'll
one.
if he lets us know in the chat, I'll definitely bring
Yeah.
it up. Memories of Murder is so good. Bong Joon
Mhm.
Ho is an amazing director. Yeah, so you definitely a couple people have seen it. Yeah, loved it.
Great, great.
Uh, Okja is
Okja.
an
Yep,
underrated
yep.
Joon Ho film. Yeah. Um, oh yes, we were planning on doing this. I've never seen the film Tampopo, and I know
Okay.
that's like a classic, but we want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
actually eat ramen while watching it. So
Nice,
now that it's
nice.
getting into the fall, it was like
Yeah, yeah.
summertime, and I was
Gotta
like,
set the
oh,
mood. Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta do it right.
Mickey 17 has a great cast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Lance Jackson. Oh yes, he's a big fan of Fat Albert, and he is always in the chat,
Nice.
and he's going to be watching Avengers Endgame, I guess. He's always
Okay.
doing a double feature. I will give him that.
Nice, nice.
um, Good question for you. I would love to hear this. And I actually didn't see
Mhm.
Bottoms. I really wanted to see it, and I also really wanted to
Same,
see
same,
Theater Camp, but I did not
same
see that
again.
either.
Mhm, mhm,
But I did see Strays, and I actually pretty much I liked Strays a lot for what it
mhm.
was. So do you think
Do I
comedies are
think
coming back?
comedy is back? Well, based on the stuff I've seen this year as far as comedy goes, I would say no.
Oh,
I just feel like comedy to me, it in the so, like, to give you guys, like, I guess, a insight on like some of my favorite comedies. Superbad, top of my list, came out at the perfect time of when I was in high school, and that's like my favorite comedy of all time. Big Eddie Murphy fan, so grew up loving Nutty Professor and a lot of the stuff he made, Coming to America, things of that nature. Scary Movie comes to mind. So like my list of comedies kind of vary, but I say all that to say, I don't know if the film industry is structured, and I don't know if I don't want to say society, because I hate when people say society is so sensitive, but I don't know if the audience thrives for those type of comedies I just mentioned. Of course, we get them every now and then, but I think of like this year, like I didn't see Strays, and I heard, like you said, I heard it was pretty good for the most part. But the comedies that I've seen this year, like I mentioned Eddie Murphy, big fan of him. He had a film this year with Jonah Hill called You People, which was trying to be kind of like progressive of like, interracial relationships. I thought that fell completely flat on a lot of different levels. Looking throughout my list and see what other comedies I saw. I didn't like No Hard Feelings. I thought it was trying to be too funny. Like it tried to be raunchy when it's just like, just make it natural. I know a lot of people like that, but I was one of the few that wasn't the biggest fan. So
I
to
didn't
be
see it.
fair, I didn't really enjoy it. But to be fair, I haven't seen a ton of comedies this year. Just looking through my list here, I find comedy to now be almost like a subgenre within other genres, like action comedies, sci-fi comedies versus like flat out comedies just in general. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's back, but I hope that one of these days we get someone that can come in and really kind of shake things up and bring it back to just having fun. And like I said, not to put society in a bubble of like, people think that, people can't handle certain things. Like when films that we grew up with for comedy is probably like a big no, whether it's, just inappropriate comedy or make people feel uncomfortable, which I think that's kind of what comedy is supposed to do, is invoke those type of emotions. But it's obviously a balance between being offensive and disrespectful versus poking fun at everything and everything, every different conversations out there. So I don't know. I feel like we're a ways off to getting back to what I find to be funny. But again, as movies and all genres do, things evolve. So we might not ever get that comedy that I'm referring to from back in the 90s and 2000s. And it might just have to become something newer within, the film zeitgeist and conversations that we engage in today. So we'll see. We'll see.
It's so interesting that you're saying this because I find now more than ever, stand up is like having this huge platform.
Yeah.
Stand up
Yeah.
comedy has become bigger than ever right now. And I
Hmm.
wonder if it's because people still really crave to see a good comedy, and that's just
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
what we're getting. And it's
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's a lot of factors, obviously, but people still want to laugh. I think that
Hmm.
because I watch a lot of stand up, and I think that we're gravitating towards back to not being so scared to say certain things,
Yeah.
which is what what comedy has kind of always been there. Stand up specifically has always been there for,
Right.
to not be scared to say things.
Hmm.
And South Park is still
Still
continuing.
moving
South
along.
Park's never been
Very true.
canceled, and
Yeah.
it's I think it shows that obviously people want to be respectful, and no one
Yeah.
wants to say things that are ridiculous. But I think for a while people felt that
A little
um,
scared.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
scared. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I agree with everything you're saying. And it is interesting that now we have such a low in comedies coming out in theaters or even streaming, and the
Yeah.
boost of stand-up is gigantic.
What
Um
what what was the last, I know you said Strays, but besides Stray, what was like the last good comedy that you can think of that
mm,
really just struck the needle and hit all the marks for you?
I rewatched Anchorman, which is
Classic.
old.
Can't go wrong.
No. I've actually really liked that, and I guess it would be considered more of an indie. I don't know. Maybe it's not a romantic comedy. The one with Andy
Mhm.
Samberg. In oh my goodness,
Oh,
what
are
is
you
it
gonna say
called?
the Hulu, is it the Hulu film?
Yeah.
When they went back in time? Or
Yes.
not back in time. Oh, did they go back? It was like
Or
a
they.
time loop.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That
yeah.
movie was great. That's a great
So
call. I'm trying to
good.
think of the name of it. Oh my goodness, I know what you're talking about because it has, I always forget her name. It's like
And
something something.
yeah, and it's the place in Palm Springs. Palm
Palm
Springs.
Springs, yes,
I really
yes.
liked Palm Springs.
That's a great call. That is a great call. Kristen Milian. I was gonna say I was gonna kind of sound like the old person in the room. I was going to say the last good comedy I saw, and this isn't super old, but it dates back to like 5 years ago, was like Game Night. That was like the
Oh,
last
that's really
like
good.
blockbuster ish type of big cast on a big screen with a big marketing push. That to me was like a really good studio made comedy by I believe it's the same guys that just did Dungeons and Dragons, which I think they're two great directors. So that was like the last like good comedy that I remember that came out in the theaters with a studio behind it. So, but yeah, we just don't get them as often as we used to.
We don't. We
Yeah.
don't. And I think this is definitely the era where we want to laugh more than ever. So I
Agreed.
think the
Agreed.
pandemic and everything and everything just feels crazy. It's like let's give us a good laugh.
Yeah. I agree.
Which is why I guess they're whether you agree with it or you don't, they're rebooting The Office, which I don't really feel makes a lot of sense, but
Scares
you
me.
know. But that's
One
a
of my
great
all-time
comedy.
favorite yeah, that is one of my Michael Scott is a legend to me. I mean, you got
Exactly.
Greg Daniels, the guy that did the original or not the original, but the American version of it. So he's back. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
But like who's the next Steve Carell? Who's the next Jim and Pam? And that cast was just so great. And I'm not saying they're not out there. There's a ton of talent out there, but it's just like, is it too soon? I know it's been 10 years, but it almost feels like it's too soon.
It feels too soon when The Office is still one of the most popular shows on streaming. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's gonna be
we'll see. I think
Yeah.
you and I both have open minds when it comes to content, and
For sure.
which is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today. I want to thank you so much. And if there's anything you want to promote coming up for your channel or your career, I would love for you to let everyone in the chat know.
Sure. Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. I know we've been following each other on Instagram for a while, and we've exchanged, just different commentary on movies and shows. So when you asked me to be on, I was super excited. And hopefully this is one of many that I would love to come back. I know you're a big sci-fi and horror fan. I know we have October right around the corner, so yeah, I would love to collab or team up with another conversation about the horror spooky season. So thank you for having me on, and to everyone in your chat for welcoming me onto the channel, asking some great questions. So you guys are awesome. But as far as content on the channel, if there's any Only Murders in the Building fans out there, I cover that weekly. Got to finish up my review for the most recent episode, so that'll be out sometime later today. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm still covering the Fantastic Fest, so I'm hopefully can throw in another 10 to 15 more films if humanly possible before it wraps up on Thursday. So keep an eye out for probably a recap of the movies I saw and which ones I recommend to keep an eye out for when they get distribution and release dates. And then The Creator, that's on the channel right now. Definitely recommend that for any sci-fi fans. And there is a show coming up. I'm a big Boys fan, so they're doing the spinoff of The Boys with Gen V. I was fortunate enough to get the screenings for that, so I'll be watching. They're premiering the first 3 episodes on Friday. Haven't got a chance to watch it yet, so I'll be watching that soon and giving my thoughts on that. And any horror fans, The Changeling on Apple TV, been covering that weekly. And yeah, just keep an eye out for more of the I thought that the film festival was, a lot of stuff going on that has nothing compared to the award season. So I'll be getting all those screeners and those invites. So it's going to be a good time to get into that time of the year. But again, I want to thank you for having me on. Awesome chat, great conversation. And hopefully this is one of many in the future.
Yes, well, thank you so much again. And if you are in the chat or you're watching the replay of this, you can subscribe if you haven't already to Movie Files, and I will fix his name in the description momentarily. So my apologies on that. Thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.